Hello, this is Chris Voti, also known as Mad Cat, and welcome to the Hope for Cytherea event. As you know, this is an event that will allow everyone to send a personal message to Cytherea, a message of hope that we hope will. I keep saying the word hope. I need to stop doing that. We're hoping that this is a message that reaches her and helps her begin the healing process. So I thank everyone for coming today. We are having a bit of trouble with the signing up, and I do apologize for that. No one has ever really done what we're attempting to do today. So I do apologize for the trouble that this has caused. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to look directly into the chat room. And then I'm just going to pull people off of that to go ahead and get your profile. If you want to shortcut this process any, just go on my profile, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, while Mercedes is talking in a moment, going to link my direct profile into the message box below, so you can go ahead and just add me, and then I can easily find you. You might need to refresh the page to see the new update. It's already done. So anyways, you don't really want to hear me talking, so let me go ahead and bring Mercedes on.
Hello there. Hi. Thanks for having me.
So before we get started, do you want to do a quick mention about what all of this is about?
Well, yes. Thank you so much. I think this is our attempt to create a collaboration where everybody gets a chance to speak, put in their 30 seconds for Cytherea. I know you and Game Daddy had a great idea about. I believe it. I don't know who the genesis was of the idea, but it's a great idea that everybody puts in a 30-second video for Cytherea, just a nice message of support, and we edit those together, and those become a nice keepsake for her to see how many people support her all over the world. And so we thought about creating this event. I'm sorry, I'm on a location today, otherwise I would be on video, and I'm not. So we'll do a follow-up event to this, but this is a great opportunity for people to call in and say their 30 seconds to Cytherea, and we're going to record it, and it will go into a collaboration. So I'm just so blown away at all of the support for Cytherea and all the people who have really come out from all different walks of life to support. And special thanks to you for organizing and doing this. So also, Godless Mom, thank you for supporting our event as well.
Well, that was funny. I couldn't get the mute to go on mute. All right, so I'm currently trying to load things up now. Now, Gator, you said that you were not interested. You just wanted to watch today. So if that's incorrect, please let GM Daddy know, and I will take you next. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to contact Mildra. So let me go ahead and get that. This will be a little bit more streamlined the faster we go through this. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so dang, this is not working. Um, okay, so backup plan. Those who can get on Twitter, go ahead and post your Google profile and use the hashtag Hope for Cytherea. I have that loaded up on my tweet deck so I can view it directly. Mildra, if you could go ahead and do that first for me, please, so I can go ahead and get you first.
And we could just take, the people who can and want to join in this time. I've got about, half an hour. We can chat, and then we can always do it again, and we can set up other ways later on too.
Okay, so what I'll do then is we'll go ahead and bring a couple people on at a time, and we'll go ahead and have a little bit of a conversation. And then I will go ahead and drop people a little one at a time, and then bring a new person in. And then we'll go ahead and get this technical difficulty worked out for next time. So I do really apologize for this, everyone. We'll probably do some sort of blog where you can sign up. All right, so I'm going to tweet it out. If you follow Mercedes, you can go ahead and see that. Go ahead and click on it. First few, it can only take up about 8 people at a time. So kind of first come, first serve, and then after that, we'll go ahead and bring people in. So I apologize for this, Mercedes. This is, yeah, it's like Murphy's Law, everything that can go wrong will. I know there's a little bit of delay, but just a reminder that if you're, oh, let me go ahead. If you're on Twitter, you can go ahead and see the link to get directly into the channel itself. So, and then we'll probably Gator, you can actually do that and upload it on your YouTube channel. We will be doing this throughout Cytherea's campaign on emergency fund, which has about a month left. So at the end of that month, we'll be doing this. So Mercedes, how about I go ahead and ask you a question while we're waiting for people to come in? Um, would you ever consider going back to engineering, say, if you're unable to find work again?
Um, Possibly, but my plan when I go back into engineering is to do it on my own terms. And part of the reason that I'm in porn is it gives me a nice financial buffer so that I don't have to go back and work at a corporation. I would work in STEM again, but I would not work for a large corporation again. Although at this point, the funny thing is, having a porn background now, none of them would hire me anyway. But I don't like the corporate structure when it comes to engineering. I think it stifles creativity and growth and innovation. And as a result, I think people who are, who are really creative don't necessarily do well in that field. In that field, in that environment, I should say.
Mildra, be sure that you're doing pound hope for Cytherea. If you look at my direct profile, ggmad_cat, you'll be able to see the message, or you should. Depends if Twitter wants to work for you. Have you considered opening up your own firm, Mercedes, if you were to go back?
Um, it would either be a firm or be project based. I'm not really sure at this moment. The nice thing is I'll probably be in porn for a few more years. This was never. It's funny. I was just arguing with some people on Facebook about it because Paul Joseph Watson of Prison Wars, or InfoWars Prison Planet, I think, posted my video. And it's fascinating because I'm watching the horseshoe in action. I'm watching his far conservative women. It's always women, by the way. His far conservative women attacking me for my participation in porn there. And then I have the super left-wing radical women attacking me on the other side. And there's a couple men on his page, too, who are super conservatives. And I have to say, I would like to do something with engineering or innovation, but at this point, I'm not sure that this country's where I will do it, because these how would you call it? I'm sorry, my brain's all over the place. I'm suffering from lack of sleep today, guys. These environments that are somewhat totalitarian in philosophy don't lead to a lot of innovation. Not really, not for me anyway. I don't know. I guess China's doing okay. What do I know? But yeah, oh, and somebody mentioned on here, wow, porn background would stop them from hiring you. Sorry, I feel sorry for cam girls that are trying to earn their way through college, university. Part of my speaking out is I'm hoping to impact and affect and change that perception, because these people that I was just arguing with have it that those of us who are in porn are either damaged in some way. First, these accusations of being damaged. Then there's accusations of being stupid. Then there's the accusations of proliferating rape culture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what they don't realize is part of the reason those girls are camming to get through college is the United States does not have an economy that supports young people anymore. And it really doesn't have an economy that supports more tenured employees either. The reality of my situation, and to be perfectly frank, is that part of the reason I'm in porn is it's a viable option for me that allows me freedom and a lifestyle and money, and it's possible for me to do it. So I'm really, it's very ableist. I'm leveraging assets that are available to me in order to have the kind of lifestyle I want, right? Well, the reality is that if we look at, like, let's say corporate engineering, I was stuck in Southern California. And in Southern California, there's a variety of personal reasons for being stuck here. I don't like this area, to be frank. But all of the aerospace engineering work left, and it went to Texas, and it went to Jersey, and it went to other places. And what they were doing is they were moving engineers from here out, and then more or less halving their salaries because the cost of living is much lower in other places. Well, the problem with that, and like for me, having people that I cared about here, you can't end up moving back out here. Like, your salary goes down and then it's impossible to get back. So a lot of people have said to me, why aren't you working in engineering? I know many, many, many engineers who are out of work right now. The job market is not what it used to be. If this was the 1970s, then I would have a job in aerospace without constant threat of layoffs, without constant threat of program closure. In the 80s and 90s, aerospace took huge hits in Southern California. It's still very up and down. I was in telecom prior to 2008, and in 2008 the tech bubble burst. And that affected huge swaths of very well-educated professionals that I knew who were suddenly out of work, especially in Southern California. They'd have 100, 200 applicants for every open position. So I think people who talk about these things, I think the reason that you're going to see more and more intelligent people in the sex industry is you're going to see more and more intelligent people who are looking for alternative ways of making money. And those who have the ability to do so will do it. I don't, I meet these girls who are cam girls now, 18, 19 years old, and 30 years ago they would have been able to go down to their local store and have gotten a job, and college wouldn't have been a fortune, et cetera, et cetera. But so I think we're looking at a societal issue, and it's just like for example, a lot of the porn actresses here, I mean, we're well paid in the United States because the economy is still good enough here that it takes somebody who's a little counterculture to be willing to do pornography. But if you go into Eastern Europe, the girls there are doing porn for like $200 for an anal scene, which out here it would be $1,200. Why? Because there's no work, and that $200 goes further there. So, you start getting into comparisons of economics. People ask me why I'm not at a corporate job being an engineer anymore. I still don't want to work 80 hours a week as part of the corporate structure. I like engineering. I don't like sucking up to upper management as a career.
Let me go ahead and stop you there where you stop. We've got Mildra here on the line.
Oh, yay.
So we actually got someone. Mildra, is that how I say your name?
Yeah, that's the close enough. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. So do you want to give a quick 30-second message to Cytherea?
And you'll have to excuse me. It's been a while since I've used Google Voice. I haven't used this thing in about 2 years, so I'm a little bit rusty with this. And I've mentioned this elsewhere, but part of the reason why I donated as much as I was able to, and the like, is it's customary on certain holidays to give gifts, and the mindset that I had, and this is the mindset that I have in my message, is that when giving gifts or any sort of form of charity, I can think of no better gift than a future.
Thank you. And is there something you'd like to say or ask to Mercedes?
There is actually. Now, I remember in a previous podcast you're in with that person whose name currently escapes me, unfortunately. This was a question that I had asked out of curiosity when you mentioned the flood of the amateur division when it comes to the porn industry. The question that I have is, when you have the amateur or the free side of it creating this massive content flood from what it sounds like you were describing, is there any way you can see the industry stemming that tide, or has it gone too far in at this point?
Mercedes? She might be in a loud area right now, so we'll just have to...
Sorry about that. I was on mute because I was in a loud area. I think, when it comes to amateur porn, and I was talking about this with a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, about this the other day. He said, making high-end porn content now is literally like arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The problem is nobody pays for porn anymore. So The amateur market is flooded. You know, it's fascinating because there's still so much stigma about doing porn, and yet there's so many more people willing to do it, which I think is fascinating. And what that has done is it's diluted the market. Now, the mainstream porn industry runs somewhat independently of the amateur porn industry. We have different testing protocols, but you know, amateur porn is more or less here to stay as long as people have webcams. Camming is the thing of the future. It's all about actual engagement with the watcher, and that's why it's so popular compared to the high-end content, which is kind of going away. I mean, there are still pay sites, especially a lot of the MindGeek sites, and there are diehard fans, and there are always going to be people. There's always a market for that, but I think in general it's starting to change. You know, and I think that in 20 years, here's my concern, and my concern with the American porn industry is that it's going to end up like engineering did in California, which is when it gets overregulated, it becomes cost inefficient to produce it here. So what happens is it moves to other countries where it's deregulated, and then that's when, you know, all this hysteria we hear about, you know, the abuses that happen on porn sets and all that. It doesn't happen in American mainstream porn industry, but it can and does happen abroad.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a new person here. Can you go ahead and tell us? Oh, Gator Music. Oh, welcome on. Can you speak? Okay, so I think Gator Music's trying to get it to work for just a moment. Mildra, you're welcome to stay on for a little bit since we're kind of having technical difficulties. We're just kind of doing a free-for-all today, so if you do have any more questions, go ahead and ask them. But let me go ahead and follow up a question, Mercedes. How do you respond or how do you react when you hear, especially from feminists, saying that the porn industry in America is very demeaning to women, that there's a lot of people who get abused in it?
Well, the people who say that are speaking about an industry that they're really not familiar with. I think it's fascinating how they cherry pick examples that may have happened before. Can porn be exploitative? Yes, it happens, and it's happened before in the past, but the same can be said of men who work in coal mines. So a lot of it has to do with the company. Now, at this moment in 2015, mainstream porn is so highly regulated. I don't think a lot of these people understand how competitive the industry is. Porn actresses are in constant competition for work. So it's very similar to mainstream acting and modeling. People think, oh, you're just going to fall back on porn. Well, not really. A lot of girls go into the industry thinking that, like, oh, I'll just go do porn. And you get in and you find out there's huge competition. There's a whole subculture of it. We are all, you know, really competing for the best roles and all that. And unfortunately, that competition can sometimes create problems amongst the women in the industry, and that's something I'd like to change. But so I don't think these people realize if you know, you have these sets where you have really mainstream producers who do porn, maybe it's half of their work or on the side, or even they do it full time and they came from mainstream. Mainstream sets and porn sets are very, very, very similar, like so similar. And the difference is that we're filming sex as the content and not, you know, a restaurant scene or whatever. So you know, we're tested. I mean, I've never experienced anything but respect from the people in the industry who are working. Are there assholes in the industry? Yes. But there were assholes when I worked at corporate too. So that's just part of the world. It's not specific to pornography. What I have found in porn are actually huge amounts of very well-educated women who are in very powerful positions. And it's interesting, they did an article on Dana Vespoli, who is just a brilliant woman. I mean, really kind of an idol of mine. I love her. And she is exceedingly powerful in the industry. This is why, you know, when I spoke out about Cytherea, I mean, look, we're all performers. You know, people have some problems here and there. That's no different than any other industry, but it's not an industry of exploitation of women per se. That's not like the corner of it.
Any other questions? Because I have like a bajillion questions. So. Okay, so I'll go ahead and field another one. Um, so when you get a role, are you given a script ahead of time, or do you see the script when you get there? And how much acting do you really do? Do you really put yourself into the role, or do you just read what you have to so you can get to the sex?
It just depends on the role. I mean, I do a lot of things that are very like gonzo. Like if you go to zero tolerance, we don't do a whole lot of uh, of acting. We do some of it. Most of us are having fun on set, so we kind of method act it. Sometimes but I've done a couple of features where there are actual scripts, and it's relevant that it's done more or less that way. So it just depends on the feature. It depends on who's filming it.
Um, and now that I said I had a bajillion questions, I can't think of any. Well, let me turn this around on you. Do you have any questions for me or any of your fans that you'd like to hear about?
I'm just yeah, you know what, I would like to know what uh, what you guys think about how we can, what you'd like me to talk about, if there's anything that needs to be addressed. I mean, I'm really kind of at this moment, I'm like so overwhelmed by so many different requests for interviews, and so I'm sorry. I want to apologize to everyone if I haven't been as responsive as I could be. I've just been swamped.
No, I think it's a good thing that you're so swamped, because honestly, you are doing something that really needs to be done. And you're not using it as feminists would say, weaponizing it. You're using your name, Mercedes, and trying to do something positive. So I think it's good that you have so many interviews. I know I once asked you to do an interview and you said yes, and then it kind of fell through. Not a big deal. But I do love that you talk about censorship, you talk about the First Amendment, that you talk about men's rights and women's rights. I don't think there's anything that really you need to talk in addition to what you already do.
I'm sorry, you cut out. What's that? Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I'm glad to lend my voice to this. It's fascinating. It was interesting, like some of these arguments, more or less, I've had with people, where really, what I've noticed is that there's a plus and a minus. Like being a porn actress, we are at the same time maligned by society as well as beloved. It's really interesting to watch the Madonna whore complex in action in society. And so when I speak about these things, some people are very, very open to it, and those tend to be the people who are very well resolved with their own sexuality. Because my job doesn't define me. My job right now as a porn actress doesn't define me any more than my job as an engineer defined me, any more than your job as a writer defines you. You might choose to use your skills as a writer, and I might choose to use my skills as an engineer or as a porn actress or whatever, but I believe humans are multifaceted. So I don't tend toward judging people on their career wholesale. I try to look at it holistically. What's interesting is being inside of the porn industry, I'm around all these really multifaceted people. Most people who are in porn are very, very creative and interesting. That's not to say there aren't some really vapid people. It exists, but a lot of times those vapid personas that people see from the outside are just, they're staged personas. It's not the real person. So I've opened myself up personally by being who I really am with everybody. And as a result, that's garnered some attack,
So someone was saying that they didn't know how you managed to keep up with everything. How do you go about managing yourself as far as what you do for a career, what you do for fun, what you do on Twitter? How would you say that you manage all of that?
I'm an insomniac, so
That helps.
yeah. So I think part of it is just the way my brain works. I'm kind of single focused. When the Cytherea thing happened, I really started to feel like, I was just, honestly, I was mad. I was mad. And because I was mad about it, when I get angry and I believe in something, I will fight for it till the bitter end. So to me, this became a story of injustice. And it still is. It still is. But whenever I feel that there's an injustice, I'll work tirelessly to remedy it. And, people who are criticizing me for my methods can fuck off, because the reality is that my methods work. Like, I rattled some cages, and I rallied feminists to support Cytherea who had ignored it. I had feminists who showed their true colors by attacking me, and it showed exactly the hypocrisy I was talking about, exactly. Because I said they're hypocrites and their ideology is more important to them, and things have to fit in their hug box so they don't want to talk about it. And sure enough, I post that video, and all they can focus on is attacking me. That's all they want to do. They don't want to support Cytherea. They don't want to actually do anything useful. So it's literally a case in point. And then, I was fascinated to see the men's rights groups come out, Return of Kings. I mean, all these groups that, the quote-unquote feminists have said, oh, they're horrible misogynists. And again, they actually came out to rally support for Cytherea. Now, does that mean there weren't some disgusting comments about how she and I deserve to be raped because we are porn stars and we're a bunch of whore cunts? Yeah, you know what? We got some of those, but I don't fucking care, because it rallied support. And for every one of those assholes, there are at least 10 to 100 good people who see the injustice in this. And, I'm not asking people to sympathize with Cytherea because she got some mean tweets. I get mean tweets every fucking day. So does she. All of us in porn do. What I'm saying is this is a terrible injustice and travesty that's happening in society. And here's a real victim, and everybody ignored it because it wasn't convenient. And it's not just Cytherea. There are tons of women and men. I mean, oh my God, talking to some of these men's rights advocates, it's amazing some of the numbers that I wasn't aware of. The number of male suicides and male deaths at work. I mean, these are issues that we should be talking about as human beings. And so if I irritate people, if I upset them, if I make them hate me, but they're talking about the issues, then that's all I can really ask for.
Honestly, if no one hated you, I would say that you were doing something wrong. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that's a little unfair, but it's
Okay.
mostly for everyone who's watching, because I actually know what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
But, you going to bat for Cytherea, you're saying that, no woman should really deserve this kind of treatment. Would you have done the same thing if it were a man who experienced that?
If it was one of my porn actors, yes. I mean, what I was doing was I was going to bat for a colleague. So to me, yes, she's a woman, and there was a lot of hypocrisy with feminism, but I was going to bat for a colleague. And if it was a porn actor and I was aware of it and this kind of thing happened, you better believe I'd be doing the same thing. I think, people forget I got a lot of flack for this. And it was that, oh, it was funny. I had some MGTOW say, oh, you're only helping women and you're not helping men. The first charity event I did was for Big Brain, who's a man. I don't really see a lot of distinctions, based on gender. It's just not how I see the world. I don't see it that way. And I think it's fascinating that other people do. I don't meet men and think, oh, he's a man, therefore XYZ about him. I have enough life experience to know people are very individual. So my frustration in this particular case with Cytherea was that, yes, she's a woman, and yes, there's this current narrative within modern feminism that there's such a thing as rape culture, which I don't actually believe. Rape is down overall, anyway. So that was me addressing their hypocrisy in that context. If it was a man and there was some other issue, like I believe in going to bat for people who can't have their voices heard for whatever reason. That's really what it comes down to.
Like I said, it was a little unfair question, but I already knew that you would basically answer that way. So what's your reaction to how everyone, Gamergate, individual feminist, MRA, I mean, we're almost at $19,500 for Cytherea. What's your reaction to that?
I'm so elated. I am so over the moon. I mean, I really thought, my hope was that we were just going to get to, 10,000, and I'm like, we can do that. When I made that video, I think the fundraiser was at 3,000 or 3,500. And I mean, even when I did the video, it's like I had like 300 YouTube subscribers or something. This wasn't intended to be like a huge media thing, although I was hoping that some of the feminists would see it. To get to 19,000, and it's not, I mean, I really largely, there's a lot of people who donated because of Gamergate and our community and people that I know, and I think that's so wonderful, and I'm so, so, so proud of everybody for coming together and showing support. And, people, it's not about, it wasn't about how much people gave. It was more the show of solidarity. It was showing her that there are people in the world who care about her. So to have almost doubled the donation, the target amount, with like a month left to go is just remarkable. And it's really going to help her. I've spoken with her, and she's hoping to go to school to do something else because she's just really too traumatized to go back to her profession. And this is a woman who's a tenured professional. I mean, she's been in the industry since like 1990. And she's literally too traumatized to come back to work. So she's hoping to go to a trade school to do something else. And so this money will really, really help her get back on her feet. Because as entertainers, we can't, we don't really, we don't have backup insurance if something happens to one of us.
No, and I was talking to a good friend of mine, Hannah Wallen, for the Honey Badgers. And we were discussing Cytherea when everything first started and about my involvement in it. And, I mean, as you know, I'm disabled because of a work injury, and I haven't been able to return back to work. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel on that level I can relate to Cytherea and what she's going through, because this is basically a work injury. She can't return back to work after the experience that she endured. Mm-hmm. And I understand that all too well, that, it's like, I mean, I want to work. I don't want to be home. I don't want to be stuck. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of free time, but most of that I can't do anything anyways. I just kind of stare at the wall. So, I mean, I am glad to see that she has a plan what to do with her life, and I'm glad that the money is going to be helping her. But I also really hope that, the video that we make for her is also going to let her know that she has a lot of support out there. A lot of people want to see her get better.
Yeah, that's, and I think that's what's so beautiful about this is really, I mean, what an unlikely alliance. I think as porn actresses, it's easy to feel alienated from people because, for the most part, if you'll notice, whenever I venture out into normal land, and it's not just me, I'm just using myself as an example because you guys know me, we tend to get attacked. We're not well liked by society. We're pariahs for the most part. And so when something terrible happens, fortunately, many of us have some hardcore diehard fans, and I know Cytherea has a lot. She's been around for so long, and she's so tenured, and she's so wonderful that she really has support. But I don't think that she could have anticipated, or I could have anticipated, the tremendous support coming from people who are not porn fans, who don't even watch porn, but who sympathize with her as a human being. And that's, this is the beauty of opening ourselves up as people. She did those great videos thanking people, but also sharing about her event. Really showing, we're humans. So porn actresses are humans. People who work in coal mines are human beings, first and foremost. And it's fascinating that, they talk about SJWs and humanitarian this and humanitarian that, but I found that they're the first to dehumanize women who are sex workers.
Well, and you talk about how you as porn actresses are pariahs, but it's like us men who watch porn are also seen as pariahs. Maybe not as bad as porn stars, but we're still seen as the dredge of society. And then it was like the thing I was talking with that other porn star, I can't remember her name, I apologize. I was saying that, you know, porn stars, gamers, and scientists really need to stick together because we're all being attacked by the same people. We're basically being told that we're all sexist men who don't like women and just want everything to be a boys' club, and it's so far from the truth that most of us are really compassionate people that want to do something good with the world, but we also want to enjoy the things that we love, and we're too busy trying to defend what we have than to do something productive.
Right. Well, you have people who have conflated emotions with truth. So it's that subjective reasoning that comes with postmodernism. It's this idea that there's no actual truth and there's no logic. And somebody said something like, "Oh, you know, facts are oppressive because it makes me feel bad." And so, you know, porn is a casualty of this way of thinking. So is gaming. Gaming's a casualty of this way of thinking. You have people who are attempting to attack anything that makes them feel bad about themselves. And then the problem is, because that's a moving target, when you talk about something that makes someone feel bad about themselves, I mean, there's so many things, or whether it's, and that's why you start seeing these different movements of, you know, thin people make me feel bad about myself, and smart people make me feel bad about myself. There was a woman who's a fitness model who posted some photo of herself with a baby and a little kid, and she had a six-pack, and a bunch of women attacked her. That makes me feel bad about myself. Well, this woman's in the gym like 3 hours a day and watching her food intake like a hawk. I mean, she has those results for a reason. But because it made someone feel bad about themselves somewhere, you know, they were shaming her for it. When her, like she said, I mean, her physique is the result of hard work and hard work alone. So what we're having, you know, you talk about scientists. I mean, scientists, it's like when atheism and atheism plus, I didn't even know about this until recently. And unfortunately, you know, porn actresses end up being the casualties of this too. We got a little ways ahead with the 1980s and the Nina Hartleys of the world, the second wave feminists. But now, and it's not all feminists. I said this from the beginning. There are a lot of really wonderful, sex-positive, empowered feminists in the world, just like there are MRAs. You're dealing with extremists, and the extremists. I mean, I literally saw there's a comment some woman made on Paul Joseph Watson's Facebook page, where she said literally something along the lines of like, "I hope more women." She didn't even watch my video. She's like, "I hope more women like Mercedes get raped." Like, that just happened, and it's a woman who said this.
Okay, so I want to ask you two more questions. One's going to be from a chat room, but another is going to be my own. My own question, and then I know you do have to go, so
I do.
those will be the last two questions. So what do you think on the, you said that you don't believe that there's a rape culture. What do you think on the idea that there is a rape culture, but it's not how feminists say, but it's actually that men are ignored when it comes to rape? What do you think about that?
I think men are ignored when it comes to rape. I know men who've been raped, who are straight and gay, both, who've been raped, and they're typically not encouraged to report it. And if they do report it, they're laughed at. I think it's it's fascinating because people talk about equality in society, but then when it comes to something that we can control our reactions to, men are being left behind in this. And so I think for years, and look, I mean, there are physiological differences. Like, a big man is going to be stronger than a woman who's smaller. That's the truth. And that's why for so long feminists have focused on rape of women, because we were dealing with society where you had men who were overpowering women, and this was a more this was a thing that happened more often, right? But now we're dealing with a modern society where things have changed, and you're also dealing with men who know not to hit women under any circumstance, and you have women who take advantage of that. You also have, like, I forgot what somebody in the MRA posted this to me. I forget the stat, but it was the amount of prison rape that happens to men, and nobody cares. Like, nobody seems to care about that. That's just too bad they're in prison, so fuck them. And it's really awful. I mean, you're talking about violence against people that is never justified. But like I said, you have it. It's dismissing prison rape is like dismissing rape of porn stars. It's the same type of people that do that. It's like, well, they're criminals, so who cares if they get raped, or I hope they get raped. And then, like, this woman named Andrea Williams, who said on this Facebook page, oh, I hope more women like Mercedes get raped. So, and that's a woman saying it. So, these people are contributing to this.
Yeah, I've seen some feminists say that men in prison deserve to be raped, and that really makes me sick to my stomach when I see things like that, because no one deserves to get raped. Rape is one of the most abhorrent things there is. But the other thing that really pisses me off is when they say that rape is far worse than being killed. And, the thing about rape, and, definitely in Cytherea's case, is that you can recover. Maybe not 100%, but you can move on with your life. Death is permanent. There is no coming back from that. Okay, so the last question that we'll go ahead and ask today, and this comes from Gator Music. Is there a lot of cases of mental illness in the porn industry, getting post-traumatic stress disorder or different types of illnesses from incidents that happen?
I think that I don't know that the incidence of mental illness as a whole is greater in the industry. We talk about the industry, you're also talking about performers and directors and producers and a lot of other people. So, unfortunately, people focus on, like, anytime any porn actress, something happens, they say, oh, well, it was the porn industry. Well, actually, performers as a whole tend to have more highly dramatic lives, whether they're porn actresses or whether they're dancers in a ballet troupe. It's kind of a general thing. It's the performers, right? So you have that. I don't think that the incidence is higher, especially in the mainline porn industry. I mean, God, most of the directors and producers are just like people in mainstream. Maybe they're a little edgier, or they're a little more fun, or they have a little more freedom than your average corporate employee. But I don't. My experience of it isn't that they're more fucked up as a rule. Now, are there young partier types who are totally screwed up in the industry? Yeah, there are. But you could find that working at Home Depot, too.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end things here. Once again, I do apologize to everyone for the technical difficulties, and that will be resolved. We got about 25 days left on the campaign, and I do promise you that we will be doing this again before the end of that time. I thank you, Mercedes, for coming on and being part of this impromptu interview.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we'll stay in communication with everyone. Just be sure to take a look at Hope for Cytherea hashtag. I post on there quite often, and if you get a chance, go ahead and donate. I'd like to see it up to 20,000. I think that would send a very positive message, especially for men's rights and Gamergate, to show that we are not misogynistic. And some of those radical feminists, they love numbers. Let's give them a really good number to choke down. So for the other feminists that are watching this, I know there are a lot of good ones out there, like Christina Hoff Sommers. I have a few friends that I consider that I like that are feminists, so I do know that you're out there. I am going to go ahead and end it now. I thank everyone for watching, and like I said, just go ahead and pay attention to Twitter, pay attention to Mercedes. She loves the attention, and we'll get this going again very soon.
I don't love the attention, but I love all of you. So. All right,
Okay,
bye
if you
guys.
pay attention to me, I love the attention.
Give it all to Mad Cat.
Here you go, Matt.
All right, bye guys.
Take care.